So welcome to study group today. As usual, these are our group learning agreements. So I'll just go ahead and read them for us. So our first is to be present and engage both with
Hang
me
on,
and
I
your
don't
partner.
think you're showing the
Oh,
slideshow.
I'm not? Okay, I'm sorry about that. Let's share screen again. Okay, is that better? Are you guys able to see the slideshow now? Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, sorry for that, but just to kind of continue on. We'll start with our group learning agreements. So they're to be present and engage both with me and your partners. So yes, like we're always open for conversation. Respect people's contributions and stories. Turn your cam on and show your face. One mic, listen and respect each other's speaking time and keep a light environment and minimize pressure. So again, like whenever you guys feel the need to kind of update these, always feel free to reach out and let me know. So as for today, our check-in cue is, what is a habit of yours that you find hard to break? So I know we typically have a lot of habits and some might not be too good for us, but again, it's hard for us to overcome them. So if you guys wouldn't mind sharing one, I think my own habit that I kind of find pretty hard to break, um, is saying sorry. I do tend to say sorry a lot, and I get told that like frequently, and I think that's just like my response for anything. So sometimes like I guess the application like of sorry to the situation may not like fit, but I say sorry, so I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like, oh, I'm sorry that like this happened, and they're like, oh, like it's not your fault, like, oh, okay, sorry, and I'm like, oh, and like people would continue to tell me like, oh, like don't say sorry. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, and like I don't know if that makes sense, but like I just say sorry like so often and continuously, and I'm not sure why, and it's hard for me to kind of stop that. I think that's just like my brain's like immediate like go-to word, sorry, because really like in the end, like when you say sorry, like you can't really get a negative response from it. At least I would hope not. So I think that's just why like my brain just goes to that like immediately. But that is something I have to work on, because sometimes like not that I'm not sorry, but like it may not be my fault in like situations, or like or be too, or like I may not have that like, what do you say, like that much of an influence on the situation, but by me saying sorry, it's kind of taking accountability or like responsibility. So like people could again like hold that against me, even if like I have nothing to do with the situation. So yeah, that's something I have to work on, saying sorry. But what about you guys? Takano, do you have a habit that's pretty hard for you to break?
Um, a habit. Oh yeah. Something that is hard is like probably this isn't the same with homework, but like other like important things. Like procrastination for like certain things. Like say returning like an email to someone. Like that. I mean, I'm really good at not procrastinating with like homework, but I'm really good at like procrastinating like other important, like sending messages to someone else like through email or yeah, things like that, which I really want to break because it's really not good for me and the other person. But yeah, it's just really hard to break for some reason.
So is it necessarily then just like the responses that you procrastinate, like those like emails, or is it in general like text or like
Or like emails.
every form of communication? Emails?
Yeah,
Okay.
just really emails.
I could see why that is. I think I kind of relate, where it's kind of more formal, right? So you just like, you need time to respond if it's in an email, because otherwise, like if they had like text, it's like faster. Oh, here's Rachel. Um, oh no, where's my little? All right. And yeah, so I think it's the same, where it's like just like that formal setting that kind of gets me to procrastinate too. Do you feel the same way? or kind of?
Not sure if like formal way, but just in general,
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
All right. What about you, Isaac? What's a habit of yours that you find hard to break?
I guess on the topic of responding to people, for me, it might be when I'm having a conversation with someone and uh, they're trying to talk to me about something that I don't know, like I might not know about, and like it's like pretty important, I guess, to the conversation. I'll just say yeah, they go along with it, like if as if I didn't know about it. Um, yeah, I do that a few times, so uh, I guess you know that'd be something to break.
Yeah, I see. It's kind of like trying to keep the flow, right? Is that why you find yourself saying yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you doing it now, Isaac? Let's
Maybe.
hear. Um, Alrighty. And Rachel, if you're able to share, do you mind sharing a habit of yours that you find hard to break?
Hey Valerie, check the chat. I'm gonna be using the chat.
Alrighty. Alrighty. Well, alright. So, alright. Rachel has a similar habit that she finds hard to break in relation to staccato. So she also has trouble messaging people back when it comes to work or school. So I think it's like that form of communication, right? That's kind of like, a bit or something we often find like we procrastinate about. Alrighty, so continuing on, I just want to check in with you guys. It's been a week again. We meet weekly, but it's been a week since we last met. We had a couple of things going on for all of us. So I just want to see how we're all feeling. If we could go ahead and share 2 feelings, so maybe positive and not so positive feeling. So I could start us off while you guys think for a while. But I think I am pretty, I would say, fulfilled in that I went to watch Eternals this weekend, and I don't know, I really loved the movie. And I am a bit anxious at the same time because I'm ready to take my test. I'm done studying, so I just want to take my midterm already. And I'm also really anxious to go home, like anxious, but a good anxious. Like I want to be home with my family for Thanksgiving, and I know that's um a bit of time away, but yeah, I'm ready. What about you, Isaac? How are you feeling?
I am feeling I guess kind of nervous for the rest of my week. I don't know like what homework I might get or like what I'll have to do. So just like looking forward to that. I'm feeling kind of nervous. But I'm also feeling kind of eager to like finish my week and like the next one so we can get to Thanksgiving break.
Right? It's like the anticipation, right? That's like, you need work done, but then you're also like really anxious and like eager for again that time, holiday time, family time, food. Takara, how are you feeling?
I have like kind of a few. I feel a bit joyous that we're gonna go back to like in-person Japanese school.
Oh,
Also, I guess a bit not really joyous because I have to go all the way to freaking San Francisco early in the morning. I like hated that about Japanese school. But also I guess oh yeah, and also joyous about because I finished Japanese midterms like on Saturday. So yeah,
Right.
it felt really nice.
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned last week being a bit overwhelmed or like anxious for that. So I'm glad that you finished that off. But that's really does seem exciting being like in person again. It's been a while, right, since you were able to. So that's pretty exciting despite the drive. I'm sure you'll come to terms with that, hopefully. And like, I don't know, I think the experience would be good, like that classroom setting. So I hope all goes well with that. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and continue. So our vision and mission is to elevate people's growth mindsets so we all achieve higher ambitions. And our mission is to guide first-gen high school students so they pursue and obtain a college education. So today, all right, I did not mean to skip you, Rachel. I wasn't sure if you're able to share, but going back to this, Rachel says she's feeling pretty happy today. And we'll give her a second just to see if she would like to share as to why. Alrighty, Rachel says she's pretty happy because she got McDonald's. I think food also always gets me in a good mood. So yeah, I'll probably be happier after this because I'm gonna go eat. But but yeah. All right. So just going on now. So our purpose for study groups, as always, is to increase our connections with one another. So really build our relationships, improve our relationship with ourselves, and that's done by improving our student success skills and to guide you to practice your growth mindset. So for today, can I go ahead and have you guys open your WISE page right now? So I'll give you a minute or two to do that. And so I'd like for you guys to take notes on today's session and just on those really ideas or concepts that you feel you could relate to and you find most important. So go ahead and use the thumbs up emoji once you guys are all ready and have your WISE speed journal open. Alrighty. So moving forward. So for today's activity, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link in the chat. So today would be to take a quiz on and find out your spirit animal. So basically, I want you guys to just go ahead and answer these questions here. And then afterwards, I'd like to know like more like about, I guess, your opinion on your results. So if you think like this spirit animal and its description really matches how you perceive yourself, who you think you are, if you think this quiz is completely wrong and it does not like know you. So go ahead and take a couple of minutes to take those or to take that. Yeah, so how do you guys feel about this? Do you guys already relate to a specific animal? Have you taken quizzes like this?
I don't know, but I'm excited to see what comes up.
Yeah, when it's only a couple of questions, but I'll go ahead and start us off. So I know there's like a wide range of animals you could get. So as for me, I got the owl spirit animal. So just to give some description of what they say the owl is, it says that the owl has a deep connection with wisdom and intuitive knowledge. So you're a power animal and you're likely to have the ability to see what's usually hidden to most. You could see true reality beyond illusion and deceit. The owl also offers for those inspiration and guidance necessary to deeply explore the unknown and magic of life. I think for me, I kind of relate to this where I feel I'm more like a wallflower. So I'm more in the background and I really take the time to kind of grasp my environment. So I feel like I'm able to kind of pick up on cues pretty easily, like to tell how people feel. And then from that, I kind of use that to kind of either like, that's kind of my way of choosing how to engage in the situation. So I know, like, again, like I kind of think this is a bit accurate to that extent, and you're able to like pick up on cues and stuff. I feel that I'm really capable of doing that, at least more than the majority of people. So for me, like I think my spirit animal kind of relates, but owls do scare me. So it's, yeah, I don't know how I feel about being an owl, but the description fits a bit. Takada, have you gotten your results yet? How are you going?
I just got a bear.
You just got it? All right. What's its description? And do you think it fits with you or not?
Well, the description says, in the kingdom of spirit animals, the bear is emblematic of grounding forces and strength. This animal has been worshipped through the time as a powerful totem, inspiring those who need it the courage to stand up against adversity. As a spirit animal in touch with the earth and cycles of nature, it is a powerful guide to support physical and emotional healing. To be sure, I'm not really sure if this really fits my description. Like, I don't think it's wrong, but I'm not really sure what my description would be, like what I would be like, since I haven't really ever thought of thinking about myself in a way like that. So I'm not really sure, but maybe like, yeah.
All right. So what parts do you find kind of questionable then, or like that you don't really relate to?
A bear?
Yeah. Or like besides that, it's a bear. Like,
I'm not. I mean, I feel like I agree with the thing with maybe a bit agree with like inspiring those who need the courage to stand up against adversity. I mean, I do like, supporting others, but yeah, other than that, I'm not really sure.
all right. So that inspiring aspect then is most accurate.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Isaac? Do your results kind of fit how you see yourself, or what did you get?
I haven't gotten my results yet. I'm just finishing up.
All right. And Rachel, I'm not sure if you're able to, but were you able to complete the quiz? All right. Rachel said her results were a wolf, and she says she's agreeing with this description because she's really aware of her surroundings and she has multiple different instincts. All right. So I guess that's good to have, right? Like the being really aware and being able to utilize your different senses. All right, so far we've seen it's kind of relatable, right? All right, Isaac, when
Alright,
you're already, okay,
yeah, I got a deer.
a deer, and what's
Yes.
that description?
Let me read that. It says when you have the deer as your animal, you're highly sensitive and have a strong intuition. By affinity with this animal, you have the power to deal with challenges with grace. You master the art of being both determined and gentle in your approach. The deer totem wisdom imparts those with a special connection with this animal, with the ability to be vigilant more quickly and trust their instincts to get out of the trickiest situations.
Oh, okay. And do you feel that that's a good description of who you are? Are there parts you agree with, parts you don't? Oh, I think you may have muted yourself.
Alright. I think it's mostly accurate. Sometimes I don't fit at all with that description, but I think most of the time I follow pretty like along those lines.
All right, what like description really like stands out or like you think is best fit?
For me, I think it's just that my initiative or like my actions are just more like gentle in approach. Yeah. So like I take things more easier, you know. I like helping people, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? Like, I feel like, I don't know if you guys usually agree with these types of quizzes or like things, but so far they're kind of pretty relatable, right? To an extent.
Yeah.
All right, but we have a bear, an owl, a deer, and a wolf. That's quite a kingdom there, animal kingdom. But just to continue on now for today, we're just gonna go over some of the things we discussed. So this is going back to a couple of weeks ago where we discussed the proactive and reactive scheduling approach. So we discussed a proactive scheduling approach was more where you're in control of your time and your focus, whereas a reactive scheduling approach, you're more likely or more prone to just kind of doing those matters that are most urgent. So you are more present engaged instead of having that future or your life goals in mind, or versus again the proactive where you are in control of your time and you make that space to make sure that everything you do is in relation to your goals or will help you further advance yourself. So again, we said that by practicing the time blocking approach, we'd be using the proactive mindset where we're in control again of what we do and we're more aware of ourselves and how far we have progressed towards our goals. So moving forth, again, we said that although a reactive mindset doesn't seem to have too much of an effect, we were able to recognize the downsides. So again, when we're using a reactive mindset, you're going more into allowing others to prioritize your life. So you get that you're often in a state of confusion where you don't know how to separate the urgent versus important. So although these two can be related, we often find that there's activities that are very distinct in their urgency and importance, as we practiced in the priority matrix last week. So Isaac, do you mind giving an example of something we like categorized as being maybe not being urgent but being important, or vice versa?
So something important, like I'm gonna say something important but not urgent because that's easier for me.
All right.
Would be maybe like a school project, but like you have more time to work on it, and maybe it's like maybe it's a little bit easier, but as far as time goes, you still have some time to think about it, but it's just like important to your learning and reflecting.
Right. So those like assignments, those tasks that don't necessarily have a deadline, are those that you tend to be more flexible with. But then again, those can be activities that have a greater contribution to your goals. In this case, it would be like in your example, your grades. Your grades are what will help you kind of like when you're either deciding to apply to college, because that's again an aspect you look into or they look into. So again, it's going back to the reactive mindset. Then we're not able to distinguish what's important versus urgent. So that's where like that problem arises, where versus in the proactive, we have more of a clear distinction. So the focus in the reactive mindset is trying to get things done. So again, you do those things with deadlines, those things that are most urgent, and you don't necessarily pay most of your attention to those that are more important. So again, this is where we see the proactive mindset upsides, in that you're in control of your schedule and you're focused on moving towards your goals. Again, because you're the one that's kind of assigning the time to make the time for your goals. So you're doing what will advance you. You're doing what is most beneficial to you, and that's accomplished, and that's you're able to do so because again, you have that control of your life. So going back again to revisit time blocking, this is how we said our schedule would look like. So we would incorporate all of our activities and also include those that normally you wouldn't think to include. So when you would include like exercising, shower. So we really want to be aware of where our time is and what we spend our time doing. So again, this is why the time blocking is the proactive approach, because we're aware and control of what gets done and when it gets done. So we also said that time blocking works because you become a single tasker. So you go into deep work mode. So Takata, do you want to kind of explain why we said in that case, being a multitasker wouldn't be as great in comparison to being a single tasker?
I think like from my sorry, from like what I remember, like if you can focus on one thing, I feel like you know, you get to kind of quote unquote finish it faster because you don't have to like focus on other things if you're multitasking. Something like that.
Yeah, so you're able to actually engage with it. So again, that again saves you time, right? Because you're dedicating that time to engage and focus on one subject rather than trying to spread yourself out, which will again take up more of your time. So that's a benefit of being a single tasker. And besides that, we could also see that also with being a single tasker, we're able to accomplish like our tasks to the greatest of our abilities. So again, like we're presenting ourselves and what we do to the best we could kind of deliver. And so again, that's beneficial in that we're delivering work that is a good example of our potential. So moving forth, we also said that time blocking works because again, you learn how much time you have available and how long things really take. So you really like come to terms with yourself. You become more realistic of what you're capable of and how efficient you are in completing certain tasks. So again, this is like the time to reflect, where you see where you stand in your task, whether it's like you assigned maybe an hour for math homework, but you saw that you went maybe half an hour more, so you took an hour and a half. So that's again, you learn how much time you have and learn how long things really take, and from that you could really grasp your strengths. So again, like you might have believed that maybe this math assignment may have only taken an hour, but it took longer for you. Then you see that math may not be the subject that's your best. So then again, you put more work into that and you better yourself. So again, this time you take with time blocking, you're able to be more realistic of your capabilities and learn more about yourself, which in the end is just beneficial to yourself because you're able to again recognize your strengths, and if not, you could recognize what you need more help with and work to better that. So there is also some question into why we should bother time blocking. So why we need so much detail in our schedule. Again, because life is unpredictable, or you just want to feel more flexible. But again, we should know or be aware that with time blocking, we're able to invest time to create time. So by being detailed, we're able to see again how much time we have available and what times we have open to do things of our liking. And besides that, there's also a question to time blocking in that, what if something comes up? So how do you respond? So when there's an emergency that kind of breaks your time blocking, breaks your schedule, again, those are expected to arise, but the key is maintaining your intention about your time and not necessarily perfecting your planning. So it's all about your response to the situation and how you work to kind of accommodate yourself after something breaks your schedule. So did you guys have times where something came up, an emergency that kind of broke your schedule that you set for yourself? Yeah, and how did you respond, Takata?
Well, it wasn't really too important, so I could just like kind of ignore or ignore, just say that, you know, I can't really do it. So yeah.
Right, so you were able to accommodate yourself, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
All right, and do you think that time blocking kind of helped you with that response?
I don't know if it like really helped me, but it well, it kind of like kept me focused, I guess.
Right, so it kept you
Anyway.
engaged, right? So although you might have missed something, you're aware of what you missed and kind of how to go about that, correct? Is that pretty accurate? Moving forward, we also said that by time blocking, it may kind of take that creativity aspect from us. But again, we should also be aware that when we time block, when we schedule, we can also make the time to be inspired. So by including like activities that are to our liking, that we'd like to do, that are creative, by actually incorporating them and putting them down on our schedule, they're more likely to be done. So they're not just these thoughts that we have, like by writing it down by scheduling the time for it, we're actually more likely to fulfill and like go through with that. And besides that, time blocking affects your growth mindset. So it helps you make steady progress on your goals. So again, you are actually moving forward and advancing rather than just staying stationary. So now with that review, we're going to go into today's content. So it's about being aware of your procrastination. So up to this point, we've been really mapping out our lives using time blocking. So we're intentionally putting in actions that will lead towards our accomplishing immediate tasks, goals, achievements. And of course, that's idealized, right? That we're able to fulfill our schedule. But one of our biggest challenges is that slows us down or pulls us away is procrastination. So today's session will be successful if we get to know each other, gain a perspective on the bigger issue of procrastination, and learn how procrastination affects your long-term prospects. So for today, we'll go ahead and we'll stay in the main room, but I'd like for you guys, when you're ready, to just share a time when you put something off and you knew that by kind of procrastinating, it wouldn't really benefit you, that you should have done it sooner than later. And this like procrastination example that you're going to share, it doesn't have to be school related, it could be really anything. So I'll give you a minute to think about that. But I could actually go ahead and share too. So I think the last time I've been putting something off, or one of the last times I put something off, would be my readings for philosophy. So I think they're pretty lengthy. So I tend to kind of leave them aside while I finish my other tasks. And I knew I shouldn't have, because once you kind of start that cycle of procrastination, it's hard to stop it. So that's something I'm struggling with now. I think just being able to kind of break that cycle and start my readings rather than let another week go by where I'm not too sure of the content of the material, again, because I didn't read like the assigned text. So that's something I've been putting off last minute. And today I actually started, but I've been like cramming a bit, which is not good. Takata, would you mind sharing?
Yeah, a PE waiver form that I procrastinated until literally the last day of when it was due. That was not very smart, and yeah, I couldn't get that PE credit because I was stupid. Yes.
Why do you think you found it that you put this off? Or what caused you to kind of procrastinate?
I kind of really didn't know when it was due. And so I wasn't really sure when I was able to, like, turn it in and stuff like that. So I just wasn't really sure about it.
All right, so just not being really familiar with the situation, right, caused you to procrastinate? All right, Isaac, do you have something similar? When's the last time you've kind of put something off last minute?
Maybe like folding my laundry, because like I wasn't really used to having as much during when we're like doing at home. But now, like, that we actually like go to school, and I have to bring different sets of clothes for like PE. Like I'll just like forget to bring that clothes sometimes, so I won't fold my clothes at home. Other times, and then it just gets really messy and unorganized. Yeah, it's not very helpful.
All right, so it just kind of accumulates, right? Once you start putting something off, it's just like again building on each other, and then you kind of lose motivation to start, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
All right, and Rachel, are you able to share with us the last time you were able, or you put something off last minute? Ooh. Alrighty, we'll come back to you then. So just moving forth again, I just want you guys to kind of think about these two questions. So how often do you procrastinate on school assignments, chores, or others, and what leads you to procrastinate? Or if you find that you're not a procrastinator, how do you feel when you have unfinished assignments? So again, just take the time for this. It's just more of a reflection. So I want you guys just to be more aware of where you stand, how you perceive yourself, and kind of your feelings on this. So again, if you feel that you're a procrastinator, why is it so? Like, why do you kind of find yourself in that cycle of procrastination? But if you're not, how do you feel when you don't have activities completed? The main aspect, or like the main goal for a study group, is just really for us to reflect on how we see ourselves and what we do about it. So again, like these questions are meant to just kind of get you to think, like, where do you stand and how do you approach the situation? Like, how do you approach your feelings and how do you kind of cope with them? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share a video, and if you guys could just let me know if you're able to hear sound. All right, so can you guys hear?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share again. But yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and watch this TED Talk on procrastination. So how do you guys feel? Do you guys usually watch TED Talks
In class, sometimes, yes.
in class?
Yeah.
And how do you guys normally feel about them?
I don't know. The stories can be really, really interesting. So I don't hate them, but they're pretty nice.
Well, we'll see how you guys feel about this one. So just let me know again if you could hear sound. Are you able to now? Yeah. Okay. And you see well?
So in college, I was a government major, which means I had to write a lot of papers. Now, when a normal student writes a paper, they might spread the work out a little like this. So, you get started maybe a little slowly, but you get enough done in the first week that with some heavier days later on, everything gets done and things stay civil. And I would want to do that like that. That would be the plan. I would have it all ready to go, but then actually the paper would come along, and then I would kind of do this. And that would happen every single paper. But then came my 90-page senior thesis, a paper you're supposed to spend a year on. I knew for a paper like that, my normal workflow was not an option. It was way too big a project. So I planned things out, and I decided I kind of had to go something like this. This is how the year would go. So I'd start off light, and I'd bump it up in the middle months. And then at the end, I would kick it up into high gear, just like a little stair. So in college,
Oh, sorry.
I was a government major. So we had an awesome new revised plan. But then those middle months actually went by, and I didn't really write words. And so we were here. And then 2 months turned into 1 month, turned into 2 weeks. And one day I woke up with 3 days until the deadline, still not having written a word. And so I did the only thing I could. I wrote 90 pages over 72 hours, pulling not one but 2 all-nighters. Humans are not supposed to pull 2 all-nighters. Sprinted across campus, dove in slow motion, and got it in just at the deadline. I thought that was the end of everything. But a week later, I get a call. And it's the school. And they say, "Is this Tim Urban?" And I say, "Yeah." And they say, "We need to talk about your thesis." And I say, "Okay." And they say, "It's the best one we've ever seen." That did not happen. It was a very, very bad thesis. I just wanted to enjoy that one moment when all of you thought, "This guy is amazing." No, it was very, very bad. Anyway, today I'm a writer, blogger guy. I write the blog Wait, But Why? And a couple of years ago, I decided to write about procrastination. My behavior has always perplexed the non-procrastinators around me, and I wanted to explain to the non-procrastinators of the world what goes on in the heads of procrastinators and why we are the way we are. Now, I had a hypothesis that the brains of procrastinators were actually different than the brains of other people. And to test this, I found an MRI lab that actually let me scan both my brain and the brain of a proven non-procrastinator, so I could compare them, and I actually brought them here to show you today, and I want you to take a look carefully to see if you can notice a difference. And I know that if you're not a trained brain expert, it's not that obvious, but just take a look, okay? So here's the brain of a non-procrastinator. Now, here's my brain. There is a difference. Both brains have a rational decision maker in them, but the procrastinator's brain also has an instant gratification monkey. Now, what does this mean for the procrastinator? Well, it means everything's fine until this happens. So the rational decision maker will make the rational decision to do something productive, but the monkey doesn't like that plan. So he actually takes the wheel and he says, "Actually, let's read the entire Wikipedia page of the Nancy Kerrigan Tanya Harding scandal because I just remembered that happened." Then we're going to go over to the fridge. We're going to see if there's anything new in there since 10 minutes ago. After that, we're going to go on a YouTube spiral that starts with videos of Richard Feynman talking about magnets and ends much, much later with us watching interviews with Justin Bieber's mom. All of that's going to take a while, so we're not going to really have room on the schedule for any work today. Sorry. Now, what is going on here? The instant gratification monkey does not seem like a guy you want behind the wheel. He lives entirely in the present moment. He has no memory of the past, no knowledge of the future, and he only cares about two things: easy and fun. Now, in the animal world, that works fine. If you're a dog and you spend your whole life doing nothing other than easy and fun things, you're a huge success. And to the monkey, humans are just another animal species. He has to keep well slept, well fed, and propagating into the next generation, which in tribal times might have worked okay. But if you haven't noticed, now we're not in tribal times. We're in an advanced civilization, and the monkey does not know what that is, which is why we have another guy in our brain, the rational decision maker, who gives us the ability to do things no other animal can do. We can visualize the future. We can see the big picture. We can make long-term plans. And he wants to take all of that into account, and he wants to just have us do whatever makes sense to be doing right now. Now, sometimes it makes sense to be doing things that are easy and fun, like when you're having dinner or going to bed or enjoying well-earned leisure time. That's why there's an overlap. Sometimes they agree. But other times, it makes much more sense to be doing things that are harder and less pleasant for the sake of the big picture, and that's when we have a conflict. And for the procrastinator, that conflict tends to end a certain way every time, leaving him spending a lot of time in this orange zone, an easy and fun place that's entirely out of the make sense circle. I call it the dark playground. Now, the dark playground is a place that all of you procrastinators out there know very well. It's where leisure activities happen at times when leisure activities are not supposed to be happening. The fun you have in the dark playground isn't actually fun because it's completely unearned, and the air is filled with guilt, dread, anxiety, self-hatred, all those good procrastinator feelings. And the question is, in this situation, with the monkey behind the wheel, how does the procrastinator ever get himself over here to this blue zone, a less pleasant place, but where really important things happen? Well, turns out that the procrastinator has a guardian angel, someone who's always looking down on him and watching over him in his darkest moments, someone called the panic monster. Now, the panic monster is dormant most of the time, but he suddenly wakes up anytime a deadline gets too close or there's danger of public embarrassment, a career disaster, or some other scary consequence. And importantly, he's the only thing that the monkey is terrified of. Now, he became very relevant in my life pretty recently because the people of TED reached out to me about 6 months ago and invited me to do a TED Talk. Now, of course, I said yes. It's always been a dream of mine to have done a TED Talk in the past. But in the middle of all this excitement, the rational decision maker seemed to have something else in his mind. He was saying, are we clear on what we just accepted? Do we get what's going to be now happening one day in the future? We need to sit down and work on this right now. And the monkey said, totally agree, but also let's just open Google Earth and let's zoom into the bottom of India, like 200 feet above the ground, and we're going to scroll up 2.5 hours till we get to the top of the country so we can get a better feel for India. So that's what we did that day. As 6 months turned into 4, and then 2, and then 1, the people of TED decided to release the speakers. And I opened up the website, and there was my face, staring right back at me, and guess who woke up? So the panic monster starts losing his mind, and a few seconds later, the whole system's in mayhem. And the monkey, remember, he's terrified of the panic monster. Boom, he's up the tree. And finally, the rational decision maker can take the wheel, and I can start working on the talk. Now, the panic monster explains all kinds of pretty insane procrastinator behavior, like how someone like me could spend 2 weeks unable to start the opening sentence of a paper, and then miraculously find the unbelievable work ethic to stay up all night and write 8 pages. And this entire situation with the 3 characters, this is the procrastinator's system. It's not pretty, but in the end, it works. And this is what I decided to write about on the blog just a couple years ago. Now, when I did, I was amazed by the response. Literally thousands of emails came in from all different kinds of people, from all over the world, doing all different kinds of things. These were people who were nurses and bankers and painters and engineers and lots of PhD students. And they were all writing saying the same thing. I have this problem too. But what struck me was the contrast between the light tone of the post and the heaviness of these emails. These people were writing with intense frustration about what procrastination had done to their lives, about what this monkey had done to them. And I thought about this, and I said, well, if the procrastinator system works, then what's going on? Why are all these people in such a dark place? Well, it turns out that there's 2 kinds of procrastination. Everything I've talked about today, the examples I've given, they all have deadlines. And when there's deadlines, the effects of procrastination are contained to the short term because the panic monster gets involved. But there's a second kind of procrastination that happens in situations when there is no deadline. So if you want to have a career where you want to be a self-starter, something in the arts, something entrepreneurial, there's no deadlines on those things at first, because nothing's happening at first, not until you've gone out and done the hard work to get some momentum, to get things going. There's also all kinds of important things outside of your career that don't involve any deadlines, like seeing your family, or exercising and taking care of your health, working on your relationship, or getting out of a relationship that isn't working. Now, if procrastinator's only mechanism of doing these hard things is the panic monster, that's a problem, because in all of these non-deadline situations, the panic monster doesn't show up. He has nothing to wake up for. So the effects of procrastination, they're not contained. They just extend outward forever. And it's this long-term kind of procrastination that's much less visible and much less talked about than the funnier, short-term, deadline-based kind. It's usually suffered quietly and privately, and it can be the source of a huge amount of long-term unhappiness and regrets. And I thought, that's why these people are emailing, and that's why they're in such a bad place. It's not that they're cramming for some project. It's that long-term procrastination has made them feel like a spectator at times in their own lives. The frustration.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stop there. So basically from this video, what we're hoping to see is that procrastination is something that everybody experiences. So while we all hope to never procrastinate, that's really unrealistic. So, but being more aware of how much we procrastinate and how this affects our daily and our long-term well-being, it could help us motivate us to stop procrastinating, at least to do it less frequently. So from there, like we said, we can move from being spectators of our own life and really take charge of ourselves more effectively. So again, we see that with procrastination, it's okay to procrastinate for those matters that have a deadline, because that's when our panic monster kicks in, right? And that's when we actually are able to rationalize and do the work. But for those things that don't have deadlines, which are our long-term goals, that's what's mostly impacted. And although we don't see it now, again, when we don't have that momentum, when we don't start something, we are kind of hindering our opportunities. We're not able to do as much as we want or can, because again, we are procrastinating. So moving forth from that, since we're almost done, I'm just gonna go through this really quick. But basically, we need to be aware of our procrastination, because in the end, it's unpleasant. Whether you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or guilty for being unmotivated, we could see or recognize that procrastination takes a greater toll, not just on our time, but also on our well-being, our mental state, and our emotional state. Besides that, procrastination, by procrastinating, you're selling yourself short. So you can't live up to your potential if the only time your work gets done is during those cram times or during those crunch sessions. So under the stress, you limit your ability to deliver the best of your ability. So again, in turn, like your work may not always be appreciated or be to your liking, and you put yourself in the position of kind of self-loathe, and you enter this vicious cycle of being unmotivated, right? So once you start that procrastination, it's kind of just like a downward spiral from there. And again, that comes with you selling yourself short. You aren't able to do your best under that time crunch. So again, you may not always feel the best about yourself, about your work. And besides that, you also miss out on these richer experiences. So when procrastinating takes over, it results in you saying no to more things that catch your attention more than normal, or you say no to those long-term goals. So you're no longer able to say yes to these new experiences because you're playing catch up with your work. So the bigger picture items where there are no deadlines never happen, because again, that panic monster doesn't usually get involved until it's too late. So these pursuits expand our experiences and make our lives richer and bring us happiness. They're kind of just disregarded when we choose to procrastinate and let that go on. So again, unfortunately for consistent procrastinators, you may get left in the dust. You miss out on opportunities because you don't give yourself the time to stand out and kind of just show your best work. So that's what I was hoping to kind of just demonstrate with this. So it's important to be aware of your procrastination and that greater toll it has. So it really does affect your long-term goals, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being. And this is why we need to try our best again to avoid this procrastination that we often find ourselves in. And although it's pretty hard, the first step is just recognizing it. So again, with that acknowledgement, that's that self-awareness, you're able to kind of work towards improving. So just to end off today, I would like to give a class shout out to Kato today for taking the time during the activity to really, I'd like to give a attitude and commitment shout out, and that you took the time to really engage in the activity and think of your response. So you really, I saw you putting time into actually answering the question and how it relates to you instead of just kind of giving the general response. So thank you again for engaging and really showing your commitment to participate. Do you mind giving your own, please?
Yes, I want to give a commitment shout out to Rachel. She was very, very active in the chat, although she probably couldn't talk. Yeah.
Alrighty, Rachel, if you're able to, do you mind giving your class shout out? And as we kind of wait for her to type that, Isaac, do you actually mind giving yours? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like, I'll give a leadership and attitude shout out to Rachel because, like Takata said, she was participating in the chat and she showed knowledge, very like of the subject, like, quickly, not in a way that I probably couldn't have. I don't know. Yeah.
Alrighty, thank you for sharing. We're all set for today. I hope you guys really took something from that video. I found the TED Talk pretty funny and relatable, which is yeah, I think that's the best when you can relate to the situation. That's when you can really grasp the really bigger, greater message. So I hope you guys were able to take something from that and kind of use that to apply to your own situation. So we're all done for today, and I will see you guys next study group.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye.